You knew this was going to be one of the steps in the playbook, resource nationalism for all food commodities. It's happening in Asia and over into the Middle East, India right now. So it's going to continue to roll up the value chain as we get into countries that need to protect their governments from citizens rioting because of food prices going too high. So those markets that used to get food exports from Asian and Eurasian nations are going to be cut off now to an extent. So how's that going to affect all of us moving forward? This is the beginning of the next step of the playbook. And when I started diving into this last week, India and Indonesia were the first couple of countries that were, signaling this is going to be happening. So I wanted to walk through if they do indeed stop exports and nationalize all resources, and then we see Thailand coming into it now. This is just a case study of where's their opportunity. If you're an American or Western business, there's a lot of opportunities as these dominoes start to collapse over here in Asia. But at the same time, you can see when it does reach to the G7 nations, how it's going to unfold. You can see it beginning in other places, and then you also know how it's going to spread and work when it arrives to your doorstep. So let's take a look. First, we have India now telling people the exports of sugar are banned until September 30th, but that's going to roll further past. It's just always the first step to give a date. You can see India already concerned about raw sugar. This is the lowest, sugar, really? You'd be more concerned about rice or wheat or something on this level, but sugar, okay. Down in the second paragraph, they're predicted around 27.9 million tons. But here's the thing, opening stocks, those are called carryover stocks. This is the most important thing that you and I need to look at in terms of what USDA has up in our silos for wheat carryover as well. Is it true or is it not? So India says they had 5 million tons from last year. So they're predicting 27.9 million tons. So then you'll get that total of over 30 million tons for this year's production. They think it's not going to really be enough, so they're going to start holding it in the country because prices are going to start rising if they don't. So if you're getting sugar from India, that is now cut off. So if you're a US supplier, you can find those niches where India used to supply to and dive in and see if you can become their supplier, if you're able to get it over in a reasonable price and a reasonable time frame compared to those that would import it from India. So I'm saying when things get cut off, there's going to be an opportunity for others that can fill the niche and supply these cutoffs. Because I assure you, somewhere else in the world, there's a glut of sugar. Can you get it from that place where it's overabundant to places that are really needed when India just now cut off the pipes of sugar moving across other parts of the world? And another case in point, how do these backflows start as well? So Malaysia also exports seafood, major exporter. So there's some push and pull of Malaysia produces different types of shrimp that Thailand doesn't, and vice versa. But what's happened is Malaysia's markets, which used to go over to the Middle East, well, those are cut off now. They can't get those supplies, the shrimp specifically, into the Middle East. So they have a glut of shrimp in Malaysia. And Thailand still wants to sell its shrimp into Malaysia. And Malaysia's like, we're going to stop any imports because now we got too much. And we're going to kill our own farmers if we bring in more shrimp. Then the local farmers that are on the domestic raised shrimp, we're just going to outprice them and put them into bankruptcy. So Thailand exports shrimp no more into Malaysia. So you can see how this works suddenly. You got sea bass and 5 different types of shrimp that they said, no. But another thing, this is a sub-level to this, which again comes into the whole tokenization aspect of everything. They got to get on a guaranteed quality standard for import fishery products across the board of one standard of standardization for the entire planet. 73 miles off the coast of Antarctica and waters so clean they're virtually untouched by human pollution lives a tiny organism that researchers believe may be one of the most powerful anti-inflammatory nutrients ever discovered. It's called krill. If you've been taking fish oil for heart, joint, or memory support, there's something you need to know. Research shows fish oil is 50% less absorbable than krill oil because fish oil's omega-3s are in triglyceride form while krill oils are in phospholipid form, which is the same format your cell walls are made of. That means krill oil gets into your cells immediately. In head-to-head studies, krill oil outperformed fish oil at improving cholesterol, reducing inflammation, and easing joint pain. Native Path Antarctic krill oil is sourced from pristine Antarctic waters, contains the powerful antioxidant astaxanthin, and comes in a tiny soft gel, no fishy burps. For my special bundle offer plus free shipping, head to getkrill.com/adapt. That's GETKRILL.com/ADAPT. Try it risk-free with a 365-day money-back guarantee. Click on that link in the description box below. The crossover to get everybody ready to the World Trade Organization and the tokenization of everything ongoing, including fisheries. So the restriction focused on these specific types of shrimp here. So if you're an American importer and you're having trouble finding this type of shrimp, brown tiger shrimp, banana prawns, white-legged shrimps, giant tiger prawn, blue shrimps, you'll see in that very bottom paragraph, forcing farmers and exporters to urgently divert products to other alternative markets. Again, there's an opportunity if you are in the fisheries business. Here's a whole new supply for you that's going to go at below market value. They need to get rid of it. They need to keep their farmers afloat too. So this is the whole thing about economics. There was all these trade deals of, okay, this country grows this type of shrimp for export, but it wasn't like the local consumed shrimp because the local consumed shrimp, maybe they like the brown tiger shrimp in Malaysia more than they do the local, pink shrimps or whatever that are for export out to Middle East, and then they'll import what they want to export. We find the same thing with different types of crude. You got this heavy sour crude, you got the light crude. Oh, we can't use that. We don't want it. We're going to export it, but we're going to import oil. You get this whole mismatch of why don't you just use what you got in the country? Oh, wait, over the last 70 years of everybody getting trade deals, you got to realize every single transaction, there's money that's paid in fees. So the more trade deals there are, the more fees are generated. Why do you think there's so much of this trade going on that's unnecessary? And of course, nobody's happy about it. So Thailand over to the World Trade Organization say, you can't ban our shrimp. They're like, yeah, we can. We got to protect our own farmers. Maybe we'll get some of your rice. Okay, here we are. Break bulk cargo here. This is how they ship the rice out of Thailand. Anybody interested that direction? The whole resource thing here. Now they're starting to Thailand rice. They're petrified, terrified, very scared from the super El Nino. I mean, the regular El Nino that's going to be at the higher edge of Niño measurements. They're trying to build their stocks for rice because they know when it comes, circling it over here for you, far right of the map there, Southeast Asia gets dry. Drier than a bucket of sand when El Nino comes in. So they're worried about not having enough rainfall and wet season getting disrupted. That's why they're talking about in the Ministry of Agriculture over there, conserving and preserving rice. But here's what, now they're in a catch-22. They need to protect the farmers, yet over in the Middle East, their largest buyer ain't buying. So Iraq used to be the largest buyer for Thai rice. 80 to 90,000 tons per month would go to Iraq. Well, that's not, they can't get it in there anymore. So they're literally sitting on a Himalaya-sized pile of rice. And since the war began, there's not been a single rice shipment over to Iraq. So again, there's an opportunity. Are you in the rice market? Got a Himalaya-sized pile of rice they need to get rid of, way cheap. U.S. rice production is going to decline. So if you're an importer, you're like, maybe you can make it up. You can go swoop up, 500,000 tons of Thai rice and bring it in. Again, there's always opportunity, but this is the thing, this resource nationalism and trying to protect markets and farmers inside, this is going to be the new normal. And it's going to disrupt food flows across the planet. It already is beginning to. And then when you add in the price of rice, boom, up and up. Thai rice, 20% in May was the price increase. And then fertilizers are up 50%. That's just on a general basis worldwide. But the Japanese farm group that normally supplies into Thailand is going to raise their prices another 14.5%. So you see, these smaller nations, it's happening everywhere to them all at once. And now we talk about eggs, and still in Thailand here, because there's such an amazing look into how everything is being turned over at the same time. So the egg prices keep going up week by week by week by week, and they can't stop it. So this new latest weekly increase price takes their egg price from 3.3 baht to 3.5 baht. And they're saying you could actually get 3.6 baht for that. So I think the exchange rate now is somewhere around 32, 33. It's a little more than 10 cents an egg, but that really matters in Thailand. Truly it does. I mean, you go to the tourist areas where it's all rich and everything, but once you get outside the tourist areas and you get into real Thailand, I mean, that makes a difference on the budget out there in the local areas. So the livestock group is complaining to the American sellers because your corn's and your feed's too high, but they're like, hey, all of our prices went up too. So what do you expect, that you're going to get stuff for the same price as you did last year? Not a chance. So livestock fisheries groups say the 1 million tons of U.S. feed maize coming into Thailand is too expensive. You're the one that's driving up the price. Again, they're finger pointing. It's the Americans, the American corn sellers. They're the one. The American feed sellers point. They're ripping us off. They're making us charge you more for your eggs. Again, here's your opportunity. Look what China did. The Chinese supermarkets just popped into Thailand. Like, you guys are charging too much. We can get it to you way cheaper. We're going to start selling in your country and dominating your supermarket chains. Because apparently when these popped up, they were like the #1 sellers. They're behind the 8 ball on almost everything now. You can see how the smaller nations are showing us first. Now, over in Indonesia, which I did the article on yesterday, but I was already digging into the info. I found even more for you here. So coming into the coal export. So Indonesian government's going to nationalize all commodities in the country in a step-by-step basis, but they're starting with coal, palm oil, nickel, manganese, and then the food's coming in 2027, in addition to the palm oil. So the seaborne coal exports, 43% of all the coal moving around the world to generate electricity comes from Indonesia, the thermal coal. So who's going to be affected is the time delay between the government nationalizing all coal mines, all ports and facilities to load coal, get it under a new umbrella under a sovereign wealth fund, and then get those exports spinning back out again. Japan, South Korea, and China are in for a smack to the head with a wet fish, because that disruption of 40+% of all the coal on the planet that generates electricity, mainly in Asia, when you disrupt that, everything else gets disrupted from all those countries. And those are what you consider like top tier Asian nations. Japan, G7 countries, South Korea, you're up there then, and China as well. So what get disrupted when they can't produce enough electricity, or they're going to do rolling brownouts? Factory's going to get the electricity first to make sure they produce things for export. What about the people? Now we're getting into this whole conundrum here where you're starting to see how this resource nationalism is going to start affecting things way outside the sphere of just Indonesia, just India, just Thailand. You can see it's happening. This is the blueprint for what's about to happen across the entire planet. You're just seeing it here first. So then when it rolls into America, what do we do? Think about that. What's the EU going to do? If people are hungry, there's pitchforks out on the street, do you think they're going to continue to sell? Well, maybe, like they did in the potato famine. They just kept exporting potatoes as the famine was going on out of Ireland, but that's a different video. But please ask yourself, because at the same time, we're seeing all these signs pop up, stop hiring humans. We got a lot of people real nervous about the whole AI thing taking jobs. We got the inflation running crazy, and now the resource nationalism has started. So I'd ask you, are we repeating another chapter of history? Because our trade is so tight, like everything's just in time. And we wired the planet with trade routes and deals and things that they're unnecessary, like one type of shrimp into another country because they know they want a different quality shrimp, but they'll still raise shrimp for export. Like, that's ridiculous. We got to rethink the whole consumption and production of food across the planet. But before we can do that, we're going to go into this massive disruptive phase here. This whole thing is absolutely going to cascade through availabilities of food. So when you look in your supermarket and you go, oh, I can get anything from the world, perhaps not now, beginning. So what are you reliant on that are imports from other nations outside? Because this is definitely a canary in a coal mine here of what's happening in Asia and these three nations alone. Now it's going to spread. What's happening in Japan? What are they going to stop exporting because they can't get the thermal coal to do the electricity, or South Korea with the same? What happens in South Korea if they demand a certain food product and they can't export that anymore? You know, just a repeat in history. We've seen this many, many a time. So where does it go from here is the question. I hope you can protect yourself. I'm trying to lay this out so we can all get better prepared for this. Now, one thing I would suggest is for sure growing food at your own home or a neighbor's home that'll let you borrow their backyards. You do the gardening, you get the food, you share some with them. If you don't have the space, go in and join a community garden. But you're going to have to learn how to grow your food. You can already see how disrupted it's all becoming. So the seed supplier that can get you seeds in the US, trueleafmarket.com. High germination rate. I love the selection too. You get in 1,000, million, billion types of seeds. And once you grow your own after that first season, you realize how bountiful nature is. And you're like, oh, we can do that. Yeah, we can scale the production. So as always, please share with your friends and family. Click the subscribe button, become part of the channel here, join so you can see the new videos. But you're going to have to click the bell notification to be able to get that. And I encourage you to take the video, cut it up in pieces, share it through your social media, because we need to have more answers immediately. You already see what's happening, and it's just going to continue to snowball into other nations as this takes effect. So until next time, bye for now.